I'm going to share this, and this is really a shout out to Colin from Indie News Network.
Shout out to Colin. What's good, man?
So this is from Colin. He says, the reason why I hate Zionism is because the ideology hijacks any attempts made towards Black liberation. It's interesting that Zionists make the case for themselves to receive debt owed to them for their suffering, but will not for Black people. Now, in the words of Queen Latifah, ooh, ladies first, ladies first. Savvy Sabs, please give me your initial thoughts for when Colin said this.
It's so true. And we invited Colin on as well, but Colin actually had an event to attend, so he couldn't be here for the stream because, you know, this was his tweet. So we did invite him as well. But no, it's 100% true. We've seen the hypocrisy, I think. JB, we've seen how some of these people like Ben Shapiro, for example, who talked about, don't talk about Black Lives Matter, don't talk about diversity, that's identity politics. But all of a sudden, it seems to be fine to discuss that when it comes to Israel, right? When it comes to Israelis, you're not only allowed to talk about it, but they expect you to be pro-Israel, heavily pro-Israel, which apparently Candace Owens was not. And that's why she's gone from the Daily Wire. So we've just seen a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to this so-called identity politics. And what I've been saying for quite a long time is that all politics is identity politics. And when people tell you don't talk about race, just focus on class, class is also an identity. I wish people would stop pretending like it's not, but also that it goes to show you they're totally fine with identity politics when it's an identity that they approve of and they agree with. So we're seeing a lot of hypocrisy unfold.
Mm-hmm. Niko, your thoughts?
My only disagreement is he's saying that they're advocating to get payments for grievances that they've experienced. They already got it. What are we talking about? They already got it. Israel is that. We're still paying for it, right? And it's, mind you, we're paying for something that Germany did. U.S. citizens are paying for some shit that not even all of Germany, just a very specific sector of Germany, but we're paying for something that Germany did for Western. We're paying for something that Western Europe allowed to happen despite the Treaty of Versailles that actually took the ability, that was supposed to take the ability for Germany to rebuild their army, rebuild their economy up to that degree away from them. That was all them. They let them do that shit. Didn't let them blitzkrieg, and then obviously all hell broke loose with the Holocaust and everything with World War II. But like, we didn't do that. They got that literally has nothing to do with us. That's the crazy part about that. And the fact that and what's crazy, I don't even mind for them. I don't mind them advocating for themselves. Like, if you are an identity that has been marginalized for some reason, that's like just due process. You deserve to sue for the damages or request the damages, request compensation for the damages that you've received. But like when we do it, like Colin said, like Sav said, we get attacked, we get chastised, and it ain't all. By the way, the craziest part about this is like we know that there's plenty of different races, ethnicities, nationalities of Jewish people, but it's always one kind that got a problem when it's time for us to advocate for ourselves. And I can promise you, it ain't the majority of the Ethiopian Jews. I can promise you, it ain't the majority of the Yemeni Jews. It's a very specific type of Zionist that fits a very specific archetype. That's just the reality of it. And it even goes deeper when you just do historic comparisons. The reason that the Zionist community has been they've been allowed to thrive. And everybody is like, well, why don't black people just do what they did? Motherfucker, we did it. We did that. When we were doing it, we were so good at it that they sent the National Guard to bomb us to oblivion. If I'm talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma, if you don't know. And by the way, that was just one piece of a greater mission by the U.S. government to stop black wealth from accruing. Because if you didn't know, there wasn't only one Black Wall Street. That was just one of several around the nation. And for some weird reason, in every single place they had a Black Wall Street, there was a random race war that popped off right at the beginning of the 1920s. all around the country. And it was, believe it or not, it wasn't the homes that were destroyed. It was always the businesses and the banks. Every time we tried to build like the Zionists built, which a lot of people make the argument, because it wasn't like our black wealth didn't start in 1940 after World War II. In fact, you could say it started getting worse after that. But ours accrued. When the Depression happened, guess who didn't have to close down? Black banks. We were good. So we were good, and they were like, nah, hell no. Can't allow that. Fair Housing Act. FDR forcing the banks to get shut down. Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street in Durham, North Carolina, in Florida, in Chicago, all of like that all happened to stop us from thriving and having this ecosystem that has helped Jewish people network and thrive, which everybody deserves a chance to do. There's not really a problem. I don't have a problem with them thriving and surviving. My problem is whenever somebody like Candace Owens has a criticism of a country way over there when they're committing a genocide, now all of a sudden, oh no, you gotta lose your job. Hold up, what? And it's like, when you really think about Candace's options, just the last thing, it isn't just Candace, but I'm just using Candace as the example. I don't really agree with Candace, but I'm not like Ben Shapiro. I actually do believe in free speech, and I don't believe that somebody should be fired from a publication for having a dissenting opinion. But where the hell Candace gonna go? If she really wanted to work for another publication in today's environment with her views, where is she going to go? Because who runs all those publications?
But she doesn't really have to go anywhere because she's already a big name. She does have her own like YouTube channel, but other people would not be as lucky. That's the other thing too. But yeah, but you're right.
But you already know how that goes, Sam. How long before you get demonetized, boy, that income stream starts drying up quick.
That's true. You're right. That's true.
Amen. I know. Look.
Hey, bro, we been there. We all been there now. Look.
Mm-hmm. But also here's another point. To anybody who says you are anti-Semitic if you criticize Israel, if that's the case, you are racist if you criticize Uganda, Rwanda, Congo, Mozambique, Nigeria, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso. You're racist if you criticize any of those governments then. By that logic.
I mean, they are. A lot of them are, though. That's the problem with that, right? The problem is the projection. The problem is the projection. Nobody wants to really talk about that aspect of it. Like, all that shit about they're just wanting to play victims. They always use that narrative when it comes to black people and women a lot of the times, and especially black women. But whenever black people are making legitimate observation about our personal experiences in the world that we live in the lives that we live, like, it's like, oh, y'all playing victim. No, this really happened. What the fuck are you talking about? We're because you know anti-Semitism, it's, man, I almost feel like I thought they were being mean to me today and it could have had serious dire consequences potentially. It's like, nah, I got jumped by 6 cops in the Burger King when I was standing there. Man, you playing victim, dog. What did you do? There's literally nothing I could have did except for literally shot that bitch up damn near. That would have justified 6 cops jumping me and breaking my arm or dislocating my shoulder and separating my shoulder. Like, what? And tearing my rotator cuff. There's nothing that would have justified it, because if I was a white girl, it would have never happened, right? But with Ben Shapiro and the Zionists, they're always playing victim. They're always playing victim, and we are the victim. It's different. We are the victim because of what could happen. Because of what could happen, and then what happened in the 1940s, and then what could happen, even though it hasn't happened, because we're the most protected class in the world. Literally. There's nobody more protected than Zionists.
But that go to show you, though, that they wanted the attention to be on them. Even when, like, the criticism that came from Bill Ackman about DEI hires, now you hear there's more talks about DEI hires. It wasn't so much that there were certain people that were hired under diversity, equity, and inclusion. It was the fact that they were not included to be a part of that. That's what Bill Ackman was basically ranting about, that it did not include, like, Jewish people as a part of that.
Like, why would you need that? Like, bro, if I'm going to go, like, log, if I got to go get outside, literally, funny, this is what actually made Marvel interesting, was because Kevin Feige isn't Jewish, and he was ahead of like this massive ecosystem of film industry money. But outside of that, I gotta go talk to a Spielberg. I gotta go talk to a something Steam, a something Berg. Like, bro, you know what I'm saying? If I want to do music, I gotta talk to a Ruben or a Berg or a Ian or like. What you mean? Who the fuck? Y'all got the network. Why do y'all, bro? If y'all know Brooklyn, those are Hasidic Jews. They're not Zionists. But my point is that they have an ecosystem where they literally spend their own money within their own community. It never leaves, and everyone is perfectly fine. I live 2 blocks down from it.
I lived in one of those neighborhoods. Yes, it is true. They have their own schools. They have their own restaurants, with the exception of there was the DeFara's Pizza, the Italian pizza place in the corner. But other than that, like almost everything in that neighborhood was Jewish owned. So they had all that stuff. And the point that Niko was making is that at one point in this country, Black people had that too. But every time it was prosperous, it was burned to the ground. And it's not just Oklahoma. There were Black Wall Streets in North Carolina. There was an entire Black neighborhood that was bombed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I was talking about this a couple days ago. You know, so there's that. Area. Yeah, there's Central Park, which used to be a Black neighborhood. There's Beacon Hill in Boston, which also used to be.
What? Central Park used to be a Black neighborhood?
Yeah.
Seneca Village. Yes.
What the shit? I did not. Yeah. Wow, I'm sad. I'm a New Yorker. I didn't even know that. That's why. That
These
makes
are
sense, though.
They don't teach us like in school. This is not in the history, like textbooks and things like that. Like Beacon Hill was a Black neighborhood. That's actually where some of the freed slaves used to end up. And Beacon Hill was all Black neighborhood. There are multiple neighborhoods that are now predominantly white or all white, pretty wealthy neighborhoods that were once all Black and were Black owned businesses. And so, like I said, every time we got the chance to do that, it was burned or it was demolished and turned into something else.
Yeah,
or whenever they demolish it and we figure out a way to come back from it, and they just gentrify it. They're like, damn, they're doing really good over there. Yeah, let's take that shit over. It's like, what? Hold up. So we can't win, basically. Yeah. Well, can we do this to a dominantly Jewish community? No, you cannot. Why? Because we said so. That's how it goes. And they're at a certain point, like, I know some people get uncomfortable with this conversation. I probably am less uncomfortable because I'm Black. So like, I don't really give a shit about those type of criticisms, but I get it. Some people aren't, but like, I had the same conversation about like, Asian Americans, East Asian Americans. Like there's a reason that they have thrived to a degree that other minorities have not been able to, because like they arrived with great credit. That literally was a thing. They were arriving with great credit scores, able to buy homes and businesses in our neighborhoods that we weren't able to buy. Not because we didn't have the money to, because they literally would not let us fucking do it.
Because they're closer to whiteness.
So it was a way, it was almost like the house nigga versus the slave, the house versus the field, right? They're like, we got to make sure these minorities are going at each other, because it ain't like white people got a lot of love for East Asians either, right? We know that, but you got to create the dynamic, and that's when you get the idea of the model minority. Oh, well, as long as we're not like those Black people, we got it better than them. We came here and we were able to survive and we had nothing. No, you didn't start with nothing, because if you got good credit in America, you're not starting with nothing. You're really starting with everything. That's great credit. It's better than starting with $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's LA, New York, all these major cities have a Chinatown or Koreatown, and they can keep the businesses and the money within their neighborhood. Harlem doesn't even look like what Harlem used to be. You go to Harlem now, it's heavily gentrified. You know, so it's in other Black neighborhoods too. You go to even like Black neighborhoods in Baltimore, which Baltimore is predominantly Black. But if you go to some of the neighborhoods that like my relatives are from, most of the businesses in the neighborhood now are not Black owned.
Yep. They're San Francisco used to be Black.
Every time you turn around, a beauty supply store, which sells makeup and beauty and hair products for Black women, not owned by Black people.
Typically owned by Koreans, South Koreans.
Yep.
Really? In Boston?
Yep. We can name the reason that they're from by what type of business is owned. If it is owned by, if it is a gas station or convenience store, it's typically somebody either Southwest Asian or Arab. If it's a hair store, it's typically a South Korean, right? Here in Orlando, if you go near Mills and Colonial area, then that is all Vietnamese area.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a lot of Vietnamese people here in Orlando in that area. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just.
But we're not allowed to own like that. We're not. It's not like you don't have areas that are dominantly black. The problem is that you will never see an area that is dominantly black owned like that outside of Atlanta, of course, and it's allowed to like thrive. If it hits a certain threshold, white people come and whoop. No, we need that. We need all that money. We need all that money, all that real estate. We're going to take whatever y'all created, water it down, but we're going to bourgeoify it and make it more expensive. And y'all ain't going to be able to afford to live here. That's what happens. And we like, that's what makes this shit with the Zionists so frustrating. When I have to, it be making me incensed to the point where I would have to go a day with, like, if I see someone on Twitter, I'll just take the day off. Like, I can't do this. I'm not doing it with these motherfuckers today. Crying, fucking bitching, playing victim. Like, y'all, what, bro? Like, you got money, your parents got money, there's a trust fund in your name that y'all don't even know where the fucking money came from. If you decided not to be a lawyer, you can work for one of your cousin's businesses today. Like, you have, and if you really, really, really had no other way out, just go to Israel, serve in the IDF for 3 years, and they will give you enough money to start a business. That is a fact, people. If you go to Israel, just serve, like if you're claim to be Jewish and you do your little 2 or 3 years with the IDF, they literally give you a severance to enough money to start a business, or they'll pay for your wedding, they'll give you enough money to start a business, or they'll just give you a severance outright. You can do what you want with the money.
Yeah, Myra says, why did BLM burn stores? Why did white people burn our stores?
They don't own they don't own those stores. Like what? If they did burn stores, most of that property isn't theirs.
It's not ours.
Myra,
not that they never burn black property, but what I'm saying is the majority of the stores that they're burning isn't there. You would not see black people burning up the community if they owned a majority of it.
Right.
Yep. Also, Myra, let me ask you this question. Why were there piles of bricks suddenly appearing in our neighborhoods next to businesses that we didn't even own in the first place? Why were those piles of bricks suddenly appearing out of nowhere?
Yeah. That happened in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
That was a crazy time to be. Did y'all go to any of those protests?
Well, that happened in Fayetteville, North Carolina, too.
Yeah, I know. My homeboys were there. Like they were filming it live on Facebook. It happened in Miami, Florida too. I was there whenever somebody shot a gun. It was like the protest was getting big, and we were in front of the police station. It was peaceful as shit. But what I saw was all of a sudden it was peaceful, and then police just started changing into riot gear. And I was like, what is going on here? Everything is cool. We're all relaxing. People got their kids out here. Nothing's about to happen. But somebody shoots some type of explosive device at a cop car out of nowhere. We don't know where it came from. It was like as soon as it got dark, boom, it hits the cop car specifically, and then police go full riot and start gassing everybody. I was like, there ain't no goddamn, and curfew. Like they were ready. It was like somebody was on standby to point the damn camera at the mayor's face to call for a curfew. That whole situation was crazy. But back to the topic, you would not see the community destroy their own building, the property that they own and that they know they own, if they owned it. Like that's the reality of the situation. And also, why the hell do white people destroy their own shit? The hell, like that happens often. That happens when y'all win sports games.
Yep.
I graduated from UNC. Bro, University of North Carolina Chapel Hill has one of the wealthiest populations in the world. And they win the basketball game and they just destroy the whole goddamn city.
Oh, yeah. They did that in Philly, too.
And it's celebrated. It's like in the newspaper. They're like, yeah, man, we're going to do this shit again next week if we win. Shit. Don't let it get to the Final Four.
It happened in Boston, too. It happened when the Red Sox won.
Oh, yeah, I believe it.
A couple of times.
And they like that. And
I hate
but
to
that,
see
they
Chicago.
own that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's also that is the frustration of like if they're breaking shit, and yeah, that's frustration. That's pent up frustration. I'm tired of playing within these rules that only seem to restrict me and my people, while these people get to break the goddamn rules all the time, and yet they keep thriving within that same system. It's like the rules only apply to certain people. Yeah, because it does. I was just talking today on my show about the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese situation that isn't even a Caitlin Clark Angel Reese situation. It's there are people who want Angel Reese to fail because she talks shit while playing basketball and she happened to beat the Great White Hope. And I love Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is amazing. She deserves all the accolades she's been getting. But like the worst thing that could have happened for Angel Reese's image amongst white people who are starting to watch women's basketball was her beating Caitlin Clark last year. It would have been better for her image, quote unquote, if she lost, because Caitlin was talking just as much shit. She was famous for it. That's how I found out about her. I didn't even know she was shooting like that. I just knew that she was a shit talker and she was backing it up. Angel Reese does the same thing, and all of a sudden the rules are different. She's ghetto, she's cocky, she's this, she's that. Like, and now when she talks about everything that she's experienced and been through for a 21-year-old, they're like, oh, why she's playing victim now that she lost? She was talking shit before. Yeah, it was a basketball game. What the hell? And if I just won the national championship by going through the best player in the country, you goddamn right I'm gonna talk shit. Who does not talk shit? Did it like Sabby from Boston? What do we love about Larry Bird? That was the most shit talkingest ass dude. Creatively at that. He was a creative. Ain't nobody call Larry Bird ghetto.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody attack him for it. Like, but we do know for a fact that Magic, in a lot of ways, had to police himself, because if he talks shit with the same fervor, right, as prolifically as Larry Bird, with the same I was gonna say the same jeito, the same demeanor as Larry, he would have been an angry black man.
Yep.
And he talks about that. Like, that's one of the reasons why he had to smile all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, like, there are rules. There are different rules, and people get to a point where they're tired. I mean, we live with it every day. We're aware of it. It is what it is. And that's not just for black people and like white people or black people and Zionists or Zionists and everybody else. Men and women, right? Like, when I first went on Sabby's show, we talked candidly about the fact that, like, there are rules for men in independent media space, and there are separate rules for women in independent media space about how they're supposed to present themselves and how they're supposed to act. I can be a little bit more aggressive, but if Sabby was as aggressive as I was, people would judge her differently. But also, if I'm as aggressive as Jimmy Dore is, people judge me differently.
Yep. Yep.
Like, I've debated Destiny and I put him on a plate. Like, it was light work. And there were people most people, they knew I won, but there were people like, oh, why are you talking loudly? Like, we're in the middle of a debate and I'm passionate about what I'm saying. Also, he's talking loud. He's actually screaming over me and cutting me off every 5 minutes. But whenever a white man goes and makes the same points as me, he's just a white guy. And, oh, you know what? I get what they're saying, man. Yeah, it's like, well, no, he just said the same thing I did. Actually, he didn't even say it as well as I did. But that's just like, that's the world we live in. But we do hit a boiling point at some point whenever you're watching people get killed around you. Like, now you get to a point, it's just like a boiling point. Yeah, shit gets destroyed. It's property. It can be rebuilt.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
the anxiety, that shit's forever, unfortunately.
Niko gave me that pep talk very, very, very early on. Very early on, let me know, hey, just to let you know what you're going to experience. And you were 100% right, but it's true. That's why when people are like, oh, why didn't you destroy this person, or you should have screamed at them or whatever, I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's different for me, right? A white person can sit up there, particularly a white man can sit up there and yell and scream and banter and disrespect guests and things like that. Black people can't do that. Black men can't do that. Black women definitely can't do that. Look at what happened when you saw Bree and Sam Cedar had the force the vote debate. And then afterwards, Bree was not the one that was yelling, like he was the one being disrespectful, right? But afterwards, he went to Twitter and basically called her an angry black woman. Yep. That's how they do you. That's why I just, you have to be able to articulate your point and get your point across without coming across as aggressive or angry or whatever and all that kind of stuff. But a white person can do that in this space and they'll get a pass.
Yeah, Anna had said how much dumb shit while she was in her little Anna Kasparian, like in her little rants. right? Like they can say dumb shit in their rants, and people are like, oh, it's different. But if Sabby or like one of the reasons y'all see Bree just always practicing so much self-control is not because she wants to. You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's sometimes like Bree, if you don't rip that motherfucker, like, but she can't. Because at that point, she loses. Whatever the conversation is, now the focus is, damn, Bree got mad. Bree got, like, whatever, what's his name? Tried to, bro, remember we started, what's Ralphie, Rabby? White boy, what's that white boy? Robbie? Is that his name?
Robbie.
Yeah, bruh. I almost jumped to the screen for Bree with the way he was reacting. And she was still, yep. And guess what? Robbie got a job the next day. It was all good. But I guarantee if the roles were reversed, they will never admit it. But Bree would have been gone. Bree would have been gone if the roles were reversed in that situation where Robbie was cussing her out in the most like incoherent way. Because they like that is just, they don't allow black women to carry themselves like that in this space and be considered a professional.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's not right. But like we're all trying to operate within the parameters that society has set for us while simultaneously maintaining our identity and our uniqueness. Like, but it's not easy. It's really not. It's difficult and it's frustrating. And that's what makes this whole situation with Israel and Zionists in general pissed off, like it, because we've been by the same people, by the way, the same people, the Ben Shapiro's of the world, the Dave Rubins of the world, that have spent the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years telling us that we're always playing victim anytime we rightfully call out racism or anything like that. Now all of a sudden they're the fucking victims from their $1 million interview studios.
I know, right? Right?
What? Yeah, man. Like, I know I got the power to end somebody's fucking career, but I'm definitely the goddamn victim. Like, I know my dad. The only reason Ben Shapiro has a career is because of his dad. His dad bought his way into all of it. What?
I mean,
you know, according to Zionists, if you got money, you can't be a victim. That's what they always say. That's not the case for black people. Like, I wish it was that simple. Like, once again, like I always say, you know what privilege is? Thinking that the only type of privilege there is money. Like money will solve all your problems. Like, no. It does not. Unfortunately, the cops do not say, hey, sir, how much money is in your bank account before they beat the shit out you. Like, they don't stop and check. It's like, I'm mixed. My dad's side of the family is mostly French. And people always like, well, I don't ever say, I don't walk around like, yeah, I'm half black. I'm like, no, I'm black. And if somebody asks me more detail, I give them the details. They're like, well, why don't you just say you're like, what's with the Obama conversation? I don't like Obama, but I hate when people say he's half white. I'm like, no, bro, that's not how the fuck it works, dog. Like, I do it by the cop test. Is the cop gonna be like, hey, man, just checking before I decide to fuck you up? Is your mama white? No, that's not what happens. Like, when my girlfriend's parents back in the day, like, I didn't know how big of a deal racism was. I went to a fairly mixed school. So, like, I would always meet one parent first, and then usually the dad was deployed. So I would never meet the white dad or the Asian dad until after they came back. And then all of a sudden, they're, like, looking at me like I'm crazy, and then I get a phone call after leave like, yo, my dad wants us to break up. What? For what? Because you're black. What? And, like, it wasn't, well, what does his dad look like? Or what does his grandma look like? No, they don't give a fuck about that shit. Like, here's what you look like. No, like, you're black. So it's like that. It's we're living, and it doesn't need to be this way. That's the worst part. But we're in a world where the people who are victims are not allowed to tell, they're not allowed to say it. And the people who are causing the problems get to pretend to be victims. We're just in a perpetually abusive relationship, and it's an international problem now.
Yeah. I want to share this as well. Saps, you shared this with me, and when I saw this, I was like, what? This is here on Twitter. Tara, she shares this, says, the Jewish Federations of North America is paying you $350 to take a Zionist propaganda course. So it says Jewish, 20 to 25-year-old, interested in shaping the Jewish future, apply today.
What the fuck does that even mean, bro?
Mm-hmm. So J Federation says join other Jewish
racist and shit or prejudice, like interested in shaping the Jewish future.
Says join other Jewish young adults in a 6-week online fellowship focused on collaboration, networking, leadership, and creating change in your community. Begins May 6th. Apply April 14th. $350 stipend upon completion.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
I wish it said black, 20 to 25-year-old, interested in shaping the African future, apply today. I wish.
I ain't gonna cap.
I wish he had
$350 in today's climate. $350 ain't enough to make me go to no Zionist propagandist class for 6
Well,
weeks.
I mean, you got a point there.
They out there
No,
hiding. There's a lot of
that-
them hiding.
That
A lot of
would
them
be
hiding now. They're like,
considered-
look, I'm gonna be Zionist
if
and
it
quiet.
said black though, that would be considered, DEI propaganda or
Facts.
CRT.
Facts. Facts. Oh man, that's so true. Jesus Christ, that is so true. Oh,
Dead
man.
ass.
Did y'all see the Ben
100%
Shapiro video of him like just arguing with himself? Did y'all see that shit with the
On Twitter?
He actually says in another video, there's this socialist Nathan who gets fired from the Garden for being anti-Israel, and even though I disagree with his views, I don't believe he should have been fired. I'm like, there's no way he said this shit. And then you like have fast forward, and he's like he's glitch glopping and obfuscating about why it's different for him because he's a publisher, so it's okay for him to fire Candace Owens because of her views.
But I told you guys over and over again, pay attention to the fact that they keep using him and Dave Rubin and all of them at the Daily Wire keep saying we're a publisher, not a platform.
Yeah.
That is to excuse them from any type of legality, right? Because like if you're a publisher, basically that like you can be sued for the type of content that you publish. If you're a platform, you can't. So the excuse that they could have is that we didn't want to publish any more of Candace's content because we didn't want to be sued for what was being published. So you see, that's why they keep saying that. Also, if you're a publisher, you're not obligated to actually pay. You're not obligated to pay.
But the problem is with Ben is like, yeah, but the legality of the situation was never what you were arguing in the past, right?
It's true.
It was the moral issue.
Yep.
Right? It was a moral consistency, and you making this claim that somehow the liberals are more authoritarian than the neocons. Look, I've been telling people for years now, SJW is not relegated to the left or the right or conservatives or Democrats. Nah, bro, there are SJWs like Ben Shapiro and SJWs like Jank or Rachel Maddow or whoever. Like right-wing SJWs are just as bad. Like in some cases they are worse sometimes. People like Ben Shapiro, right? Like they are just as bad. And what's even more interesting is actually they align on more issues than they disagree with. Yeah. They align on Zionism and protecting Israel. They align on overthrowing Bashar al-Assad. They align on going to war with Iran, going to war with Israel, with China. They align on going to war for NATO. So it's like, what's the difference? Well, I don't like trans people and I want abortion. Like that's the difference. And what's crazy is usually those issues that they be so passionate about don't even fucking affect them. And
Well,
they
and
make
now-
millions of dollars talking about it. Like-
And now Israel too, though. And now Israel too. So we have to add that to that list.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I got to show this to y'all too, because Rabbi Shmuley, this is the reason why I have him on the thumbnail, is because of this. I'm not going to watch the video because I don't want to hear a damn word he has to say, because his face is vomit inducing. But let me share what he said in the tweet. He said, I did this video so that Candace Owens, troglodyte, knuckle dragging Neanderthal anti-Semitic thug followers who for days have tried to deepfake my voice with AI slurs, but have thus failed miserably since they are a bunch of morons. He's doing a run-on sentence, by the way. This is grammatically horrible. Might get my voice more accurately so that they can actually persuade people. Knuckle dragging Neanderthal thug? Oh my goodness. Look.
Yeah.
Niko, Sabby, let me ask you this. If the phrase is scratch a liberal, finish that sentence, then scratch a Zionist, what bleeds?
Yeah. Rabbi Shmuley, I mean, like if you scratch a Zionist, that's basically the worst. Every time I think of like a caricature of a Zionist, it's Rabbi Shmuley, ironically. Like there might be some that are more polished, but what it ultimately comes down to is they're like that. That man was going for racist bingo. And he did it on purpose. He knew what he was doing, because there is a certain, like if you hear a black Zionist, for example, criticize somebody about anti-Semitism, they won't go to that level. Like, but there is the white Zionists, they know what page they're on because they talk that way about other black Jews. Yep. So it ain't like they know it, but like, bro, you can't say here, oh, she's a Neanderthal. No, like, bro, like objectively speaking, Candace is pretty as hell. Like, objectively speaking, Candace is pretty. Ironically speaking, this motherfucker literally looks like a Neanderthal. He looks like he took Elmer's and cut some pubes, and he didn't have enough, but he said, fuck it, we're already halfway there, and that's the result, is his face. That's what he looks like. Right? So it's the projection, right? Like it is the constant and regular projection. Like, bro, you can't call somebody a knuckle dragger looking like that. You just can't do it. Like, the one thing you can't attack Aunt Candace on being ugly. Like, you can attack her on a lot of things. You can't, bro. Like, it's a problem with a lot of black people in space. We're just really pretty people. We look good in front of the camera are bad. You got to figure out another way to come at us. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, why do you have to go there? You could have stopped the anti-Semitic. And when he's talking about other people, he does stop the anti-Semitic, doesn't he? But
well, let me put this up here because this is a really good point that Rondo made. Was Candace Owens not Daily Wire's DEI hire?
Yeah, she's been DEI hire at Daily Wire.
Thank
and she was
you.
DEI hire
Thank you. And for people saying, "Oh no, you have to have the experience," she didn't have the experience.
She didn't have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have any background. Like, for example,
when she brought on TPUSA, she didn't have any experience either.
No, she was coached. She was coached. That's what people don't understand. So technically, she was the DEI hire. So I don't see anybody saying, "Oh, Candace, listen." Did she gain experience along the way, and has she, learned a lot? Absolutely. But when she was hired, she didn't have that background. She didn't have that experience. But you see the hypocrisy?
Yeah, which is how you accidentally say that Hitler was all right. Remember that? Remember when she was like, clearly she didn't have the experience.
I'm gonna share this with y'all too.
Savitha said, Candace is not pretty. Some of the guys in look,
Candace is pretty. Candace
some of the guys in my old hood don't think so.
Look, it could be because of the way she presents, but Candace is objectively pretty. Like,
she looks different now. I'm just saying she looks different now than how she looked. If you look at a picture when she was testifying in front of Congress, she looks like a different person. She does look different.
Look, money do some things to you. Look, money do some things. Money do some things to you. Look, I'm just saying.
American treatment lately. So let me.
It's like all the housewives. If you go back, if you watch like a recent episode of any of the Real Housewives, and you go back and you look at one of the episodes from the first season, they look completely different.
They
have some things.
Yeah, they're doing some things. Let me share this with y'all too.
Money make it look. Ilhan Omar. I actually believe that Ilhan Omar looked prettier before, and then she got married to a Zionist, and marrying to a Zionist actually makes you ugly. Apparently, it makes you less attractive. I don't know why, but it just does. Like, I feel like AOC was prettier before she got married to her man, and like but marrying a Zionist, it just do that to you. It just makes you ugly. Don't do it, guys. Avoid it at all costs.
Yeah.
They suck you dry. It's like Israel in the US. They just suck you dry and leave you. And not the good kind of suck you dry either. It's the bad kind. It is not the good kind. It ain't like you get the smile at the end of it. It's like you end up in World War III at the end. That kind.
Niko, stop.
Let me share this with y'all too. Because speaking of Zionists and black people, I actually appreciate this video. And then I'll have something to share with y'all because, Savvy, your jaw is going to drop when I show you this video because you didn't know I was going to share it. But I'm going to share this one first because this is just look at the bottom and hear what Netanyahu says.
After I liberate the Jewish people, I will go to Africa to help liberate the black people. We have our African brethren, the Ethiopian Jews, who are in our society. And I personally work every few weeks to help integrate more and more and incorporate them in our society.
Now, if you guys look at the bottom, these are Israelis that are discriminating and chasing out and protesting against black Jewish people in Israel. So let's continue.
I believe this. I believe in Africa. I believe in your future, and I believe in our partnership for this future.
My kids, especially my sons, is not safe here in Israel.
שוטר פוגש חשוד, מטבע הדברים המוח שלו חושד בו יותר מאשר הוא היה חושד בו אילו היה.
So that's how they feel. That's how Zionists feel about a lot of us. If we have a little extra melanin in our skin, they don't want us around. And
Bro,
but they will. Sorry, go ahead.
No, my bad. Go ahead. I'll let you finish and I'll tell you. I don't know if I'll tell you that story, but I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
No, it's just that they don't regard anybody that may be black and Jewish as a real Jew, which, in my opinion, and not even in my opinion, but from what I was taught and what I was told by Jewish rabbis, is that Judaism is just a religion, so you can be black and Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
But they sterilized Ethiopian Jewish women in Israel against their will. Like the women didn't know that was what they were giving them to prevent them from reproducing. They don't want the Ethiopian Jews really there either. It's more like they tolerate them because they're already there and they are Jewish, and some of them were actually born in Israel, but they don't really want them there either.
A lot of them didn't think that the Ethiopians would actually be able to arrive there. Basically, is what happened.
Right.
They just it's a trudge. So I dated an Israeli for a little minute, and she experienced racism. She's Libyan. She's of Libyan and Persian descent, and she was drop dead gorgeous. I ain't gonna lie to you. She was about a 10 out of damn 10, and yet she had like this weird insecurity to her because when she was growing up, she grew up in a neighborhood. Because her dad was pretty successful. She grew up in a neighborhood around a bunch of Russian and Eastern European Jews. So like they used to basically treat her like shit because she had big curly hair and she was like lighter skin complexion, but she wasn't white. And if they she would like a guy and they would like her until like her white friend became available, like shit like that. And what was crazy about that shit was whenever I was trying to help her understand like the racism towards the Arabs in Palestine that was coming from Zionists, she just could not understand it despite the very clear parallel. She was always complaining to me about the racism she experienced. Like, I'm like, you don't think that that's fucking ironic, yo? Like, but it just shows you how brainwashed they are. They're black Zion. We've seen the videos like that they've been, because remember when all the videos first started coming out on Twitter? It was all white IDF soldiers, all of them. Then when everybody's like, bro, do y'all have black Jews in Israel? Is there any black? They're like, oh shit, let's go ahead and throw some of them out there too. Like, but like when they go back home, guess what? They treat like shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're treated like shit. It's very rare that you'll see a Ethiopian Jew marry outside of an Ethiopian family, when even in Israel. That's not going to be the case here, but like in Israel, they have a higher chance of marrying outside of their Ethiopian ethnicity, like here, than in Israel, where there's a bunch of other Jews, and it would be tolerable for their family, but not for the other family, not for the white Ashkenazi families.
Well, even interfaith marriage isn't legal in Israel.
Yep.
Neither is gay marriage.
Nope.
Even though they keep trying to be like, oh man, you can't be gay in Palestine. That's not true. I don't know where people got that from. Mm-hmm. I know several actually. They don't live in Palestine anymore, but like their families are like they had problem with the older generation, but like that's more of a generational issue. Because like Israelis were just as older generational Israelis are homophobic as fuck. Because that's just that's how it is in America. That's how it is all over the world, really, when you think about it. Like, but also to make that like, oh man, like you can't be gay in Palestine, so you should be okay with them being genocided. What? Like you do know gay marriage in America wasn't legal until like 10 years ago.
Yep.
I know
So
people
like,
act like
yeah,
it's
man.
been here
Try
for a
being
long
gay in
time.
America if you're gonna defend them getting genital.
And Kim Iverson said, she said Israel was the most racist place that she's ever been to.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
That's a statement. Shit.
That's saying a lot.
By the way,
Isn't
for those
she
of
out
you
in
who know, Kim
California?
Iverson went there being kind of pro-Israel. For those of you who did not know that. Yeah. If you go watch her damn playlist of her visit to Israel, she flipped, bruh. She went from, I want to hear both sides, and like I kind of lean pro-Israel. Like I understand where you're coming from, and bro, when you go back and watch some videos after, but she's like, yeah, fuck Israel, fuck all them. Like she was damn near ready to go to war her goddamn self after she got back from Israel. Yeah, she was done with Israel. She couldn't believe what she saw. Like the stories of like she would describe people getting their house bulldozed, like them being rationed, like that is actually how I found out about the lack of freedom of movement. I didn't know to the degree, because like the Palestinians that I know, I dated a Palestinian too, by the way, but she hadn't been back in so long, she didn't know how bad it had actually gotten. That's how crazy it is. Kim, her video was like, yeah, like you can't do shit. Like they can't, like you, even if you got something to do in Israel, if you're Palestinian, like you don't get any guarantee that you're gonna be allowed to go there. It just depends on how they feel that day. It could be something that Israel is making you do. Like you could have an appointment that Israel set for you, and they don't care. Like they're like, yeah, nah, but you can't go. It's like, but the government made the fucking appointment for me. Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah, so I want to share this really quick. Now, Sabs, you didn't see this. I don't think you saw this before, but this is going to be very deep because since we're talking about this. So I saw this and I was just like, what? Let's go.
Secret negotiation between the Nazis and the Zionists in 1933, which allowed German Jews and their assets to go to Palestine.
I lived in Palestine from 1933 to 1936. And we saw every week transports of German Jews coming to settle in Palestine.
In the Berlin paper, Der Angriff, the publisher, Hitler's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels. A Nazi Visits Palestine was the title of the multi-part series. The title was struck by Goebbels in commemoration. On one side, the swastika. On the other, the Star of David. But a group of Zionists at the same time was quietly negotiating an agreement with the Nazis to allow the immigration of German Jews and the transfer of their assets to Palestine. That deal, reported in August 1933, was the transfer agreement. Palestine, sparsely settled by Jews at the time, was radically changed as a result.
Coming out revealing secret.
What?
What?
My math might be off, but that sounds like pre-end of World War II.
Yep. I told you I had something to show you.
Yo, that's what the fuck?
You have to send me the link.
Yeah, I need that link.
I'm putting it in the private chat right now. I wanted to show that to you because I didn't know if you had a hard stop or not, Sass, but I've been trying to show you that video.
That's wild, man.
Bro, that sounds like they had been planning on no matter what the fucking outcome was going to be, they were going to settle in Israel anyway, and it was always going to be ran by Nazis.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we need to share it on Twitter, man.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm going to share it on Twitter. But that's
there goes
thing.
my suspicions. It was a suspicion
realize.
that Israel has been secretly ran by Nazis, and now it's like confirmed. Holy shit, that's crazy. That's wow. Whew.
That's why I said scratch a Zionist. And this is why they absolutely despise black people there. And people will be like, oh, well, no, we have a vibrant, African population in Israel. And I'm like, baby, 20% of your population, I'm sorry, what is it? 20% of your population is Arab, and over 50% in prison is Arab.
Hey, I hate to cut y'all off, but that shit just got my whole goddamn brain broken. So that deal was signed in 1933.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what, like, if they said a month? Because the Holocaust technically officially started in March 22nd, 1933.
I can play it again.
I shared the link in the chat because people were
crazy.
Yeah.
That because like the war hadn't really popped. Bro, it's like they had that shit planned from the beginning. Oh my God. Oh shit.
That's what it feels like.
How is that video not already viral? What the fuck? That should have been gone viral.
I'll share it on Twitter. I'll get it downloaded and share.
Yeah.
Bro, what?
But the thing is like a lot of times they'll say, a lot of Zionists will say, well, we stood with you guys, you know, when you guys were, you know, needing it the most. And it's like, I don't remember you guys coming out for us when it comes to reparations.
Yeah, nah.
No, because they want it for themselves. They don't want people to advocate for ADOS reparations. They don't want people to advocate for Black liberation because they want it for themselves. Why is the United States
And they don't want
government
nobody to catch
giving
up.
right? They
anybody
don't
to catch
know.
up.
Yeah, like our government is giving money to Israel every year. Every year. So why are we giving money to a state, the state of Israel? Why are we giving the money when those atrocities didn't happen in this country?
Yep.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
And you got other like people. No, go ahead. I was saying that you got people who like you if you really want to make amends for somebody, motherfucker, we're here. We're here, guys. We're still here. If you really want to give the money away. And nobody, it's crazy how like if you bring up reparations just like a little bit in a casual conversation, people get so offended by it. I would never give my money away for something I didn't participate in. Oh,
you already do.
You do, you dumbass motherfucker, you. You already do, and you don't give a fuck. So what's a couple more dollars out your paycheck to make it so that we actually have some decent positive race relations in the goddamn country? Like, that, it is what it is. But yeah, I hate when people get like, I just would never allow it. Why would I pay for something I didn't do? Like, you do already, and you're still not as mad as you should be about it.
Yep. So, Sabs, I know you got to get going. What do you have going on this evening?
Oh, Marcel Dixon is going to join me again tonight. He has an announcement that I think people will be excited to hear in reference to his campaign. You guys know he's running against Jim Clyburn. So he's going to join me tonight. And then I have 3 news stories.
All right, cool. So thanks a lot, Sabs. I know you had a hard out. I'll get to all the super chats and all the chats as we close out. But thank you so much. And be sure to tune into Sabs in 58 minutes.
Peace.
So, all right. See you later,
Sabs. Out of here too, JB. But, bro, that was a goddamn bomb that you just dropped really casually. Like, you just kind of, ooh, man, I got some shit to cover tomorrow, huh? Shit. Oh, it's going to be a long night. I hope I don't get banned from YouTube. Oh, I'm going to get banned from YouTube. I don't want to get banned from YouTube again, man. I might have to rock fin that one. I don't know. That was a lot that you just dropped. Like, that was a lot.
Boy, you don't know.
1933, we gave the Palestine, like we already there. So basically, after World War II, that whole show that they put on for like whether or not we're going to give Israel or give Jewish people Israel was a fucking show. That's all it was, because the land was already signed over. Palestine was already signed over. In order for that to happen, Great Britain had to have done it because they were basically the ones that owned Palestine at the time.
But remember that the Windsor family, the royal family, were also Nazis.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's that. I forgot about that part. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And Churchill was a big anti-Semite.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, because Churchill was actually one of the ones who were against Israel being formed, but ultimately he caved. They say because the U.S. basically told him he didn't have a choice, he's gonna have to support it. And he ain't really, he was one of those guys where Winston Churchill gets a lot of love that is like undeserved because he was a racist piece of shit. Like that he was just a decent wartime prime minister, and so everything else that he did gets swept under the rug. He's kind of like the Lyndon B. Johnson of Great Britain.